what possible reason would Tua have to go back?
I have no idea. Rich. I really don't.
Right? Because you must be hearing evaluators.
I've said it multiple times. I wouldn't take another snap in college if I was Tua. And I would advise his family in that. I've talked to Nick Saban about it.
You have.
And Nick's not pushing him. Nick is as good as anyone in the game at giving the players the information and letting them decide. And he wants to make sure that they get the right information. I will, as much as any coach in the profession. And he told me he talked to 20 teams, and we were talking about all of their different players. There's 15 players from that team who could wind up being drafted or wind up leaving early, and he wanted to make sure that every single player had the right information. Tua, it just comes down to what he thinks medically, what his doctors are telling him medically, and what he's getting in terms of an evaluation back. And that is the part that none of us know right now. It's one of the biggest unknowns I can think of in terms of a potential top 5 pick. If you're just evaluating him from a talent standpoint, we just don't know. Well, nobody knows except his inner circle, and we'll find out a lot of things, I think, on Monday.
Well, I mean, in the way it's going to work, Todd McShay here on the Rich Eisen Show, as you and I know, and let's inform the listeners and viewers of this conversation. His medical will be maybe the most viewed item at the combine this year of even of anybody's 40-yard dash or weight and reps or name a drill.
It will be if he decides to declare for this draft.
Right.
It will be the most scrutinized aspect of any part of the entire pre-draft process. There's no question about it. And then they'll do the medical recheck in the first week in April usually, and then every single team that has a chance to draft him or has any interest in drafting him will send their medical team out.
That's right.
And then they'll bring him into their facility and go through more medical checks. It will be a very, very long process for Tua Tagovailoa if he decides to declare for this draft, and even if it's a year from now. But it will be as scrutinized as I can remember any individual in the whole process.
Because the tape doesn't lie, and then when he goes on the grease board and when he sits face-to-face with an owner or a coach, he's just going to absolutely knock it out of the park, meaning they're all going to be like
one of the best guys you've ever been around.
Right, which means they're all going to...
There's nothing to dislike about him. His competitiveness, even though he's been injured, he's tough. His teammates love him. His coaches love him. There's not a single person who's ever said one negative thing about Tua that I've ever talked to, and I've been digging. I've been trying. He's amazing. It's just the medical.
I know. They're all going to go to the doctors and basically say, "Tell me something good. Please tell me something good."
Begging them, please.
I mean, that's the evaluation for him. So he's just got to figure, do I want to go into the NFL that way? If this weekend he and his doctors are looking at whatever medical report they're getting, and they're like, "You can do this." I mean, that's essentially the choice he has here.
Here's the other thing that I've been told from a very good source.
Okay.
He can't do anything until April. There's nothing he can do physically until April. So the Monday comes and passes, and he has no idea. He just doesn't know. The doctors don't definitively know because it's just it's a rehab process, and they're hopeful, and everyone's saying the right thing. But that would be the only reason to go back, is because you just don't know. Because in April, right before the draft, is when they think he'll be able to start, walking and start to do some physical activity. And to not know that information, and all of a sudden, dang, the 23rd's here. That's a lot to wait for. So, but then do you go back to school and play again and risk injury? It's a really difficult decision for him. It really is. I don't know what I would do if I was his parents trying to advise him. I would say don't play another college snap, but I'm also not saying the best idea is to be in this draft and then 2 weeks before the draft, the doctors come out and say, well, it's going to be another 8 months before you're able to start doing physical activity or playing football again, and that's not going to help. So It's brutal.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.